Ms. Saar, what were some of the tangible as well as intangible signs of racism you observed while growing up, if any?
Well, I grew up in Pasadena, and we lived in an area that was predominantly, no, it wasn't, well, it was predominantly black, but when we first moved on this street called Pepper Street, maybe like 5 or 6 houses from our house up to Fair Oaks Avenue or the main street, they were white, and then from my house down it was black. Jackie Robinson lived on the corner from me. He was our newsboy, and when they made the Jackie Robinson story, they had a kid throwing the paper at our house, you know. So we were always very proud that he grew up to be an athlete, and so did his brother. But from that area down, and now I guess it is from Fair Oaks all the way down, it was predominantly black. Our schools were maybe half and half. My high school, George Washington High School, was like half and half.
You mean white and black?
White and black, and there
Yes.
was also Mexican. When I was quite young, maybe like 12, 13, and 14, before World War II, it was also Asian. Japanese, because we had a Japanese market there, and then when the war came, they all had to be transported into these holding camps. So all of our Japanese friends were lost to us because many of them did not come back to their own neighborhood. So that was a change that we noticed, that was definitely racism and prejudice against them because they were labeled as enemies of the United States.
And many of the Japanese people in Los Angeles lived in the black communities, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yes. Yes.
Property was probably more reasonable, and they were still immigrating here. Also Filipinos, not as Filipino men, but not the women. So then again, that was racism. They wouldn't let the women because they didn't want the breeding or the intermarriage or something.
Who was responsible for that? For just the Filipino men to come in?
Well, I think that was just immigration.
Oh, immigration. Okay.
Yeah,
They
they would
just
let
wouldn't
them
let
come
the
in as
women
workers.
come into the United
The
States,
same
you
way
mean?
with Chinese. You know,
Yes.
men who worked on the railroad, especially in the middle part of California, the men could come in, but not the women.
I see.
Yeah, so they either had to leave their families, or they had to intermarry, or that's that, or go back and get a Chinese wife and stay there or something like that. But that was definitely racism right there, and who they would allow to be immigrated.
And very overt.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's very overt.
I can't remember any Chinese kids in our school, but there were Japanese kids.
Yes.
And their parents always were working in agriculture or in produce sales, or gardeners. That's what they did. My personal experience with racism had to do with public facilities. There's a big park in Pasadena called Brookside Park, and it had a swimming pool. The swimming pool was open to whites every day of the week except Tuesday. Tuesday, black kids or any other race, Mexican, can use it because Wednesday they change the water.
Oh, wow.
So that's the first thing that I knew about that. You know, I come from a family that's very mixed, white and black, mulatto, and so we did not look terribly dark. I am probably the brownest person in my family.
So they're mostly very fair.
Very fair, very fair. And it was reverse prejudice. My sister, who is very fair with blue eyes, sandy hair, was always getting beat up by black kids.
Oh, yes, yes.
And so it was like, damned if you do and damned if you don't. And we were just innocent, you know. We didn't know why they didn't like us.
Yeah.